Alright, so we have our HTML complete. Now we're going to do the CSS. So I'm just going to make this smaller so we can see both at the same time. And we can close up our HTML and go into our style CSS. And first thing I'm going to do is set a variable for our primary color. So I'm going to say on the root scope, we're going to have a primary dash color variable, which is going to be that light green, the same green that's in the image there, which is 5FBAA7. Okay, so we'll use that in a few different places. We're going to add our reset or our box sizing property with border box as the value, and then for the body, let's set the background color to light gray, F4 3 times, and we're going to display flex, which will automatically align everything horizontally, which we don't want. So let's set the flex direction to column to put that back. Okay, don't worry about the image for now. And then we're going to align items to the center, so align horizontally, and then justify content center, which will align it vertically, but we do have to have a height, and that's going to be 100 viewport heights. Okay, so that puts everything smack dab in the middle. So I forgot the font, so let's add a font family, and I'm just going to use Arial Helvetica. And then under the height, let's just take away any margin. And then I'm going to add 20 pixels padding on the body just for really small screens, just so there's some spacing and it doesn't go right up against the edge here. All right, now the H1, I'm actually going to give that the primary color. So we'll use our variable here, our custom property of primary color. And the paragraph, I want to just text align that to the center. Okay, next thing we'll do is the button, so BTN, and button is going to have white text, and the background is going to be the primary color. So var primary color. If I save that, good. Let's see, what else do we want to do? Let's make sure the cursor is a pointer, and let's also add a border radius of 5 pixels, give it some rounded edges, and I'm going to set the font size to 12 pixels, and then let's add some padding. So we'll do 5 top and bottom, 12 left and right. Okay, and that should be good for our button. Now the image here is a little big, so I'm going to grab the money image class, and let's just set a width of 150 pixels, make that a little smaller. All right, now next thing I want to style are these. Basically this right here is a class of currency, this is also a class of currency, and then we have the select list and the input inside of it. So let's say for the currency class, I'm just going to do padding 40 top and bottom, which will just move everything away, and then I want to display flex just to make sure everything is aligned correctly, and we're going to align items to the center, and then let's do justify content, and we'll use space between, which will take the remaining space and put it between. Now for the select list, so this right here, we're going to style this, so currency select, and let's add some padding, so 10, 30, 10, 10. Now if I save this, notice there's no difference on a Mac. There's basically a default appearance, and we need to remove that. So we're going to add the prefixed version here, so moz-appearance, and set that to none. And then also we want to do the WebKit prefix as well, and just appearance none. So we'll save that, and now you can see we get that padding. Let's see, so for the border, let's do 1 pixel, and we're going to make it lighter, so it's going to be 1 pixel solid, and then for the color we're going to do DE 3 times, okay, which will give it a much lighter border. Let's see, what else do we want to do here? Let's make a font size 16 pixels. Okay, make that a little bigger. Now I want to have an arrow image here, and we're actually going to use an SVG for that. So the SVG you can copy from the GitHub repository. So we want to set background transparent first of all, and then we want to set background image to URL, and then we can paste in the SVG, which is this here. Obviously, I don't expect you to type this all out, so you can get this from the GitHub repo. Now, if I save this, we still can't see the arrow image because there's a couple other background properties we need to add here. So let's do background position, and we're going to say from right we'll do 10 pixels. Let's say top 50% and then 0,0 like that. All right, and obviously that is not correct. So in order to fix this, we're going to add a background size property of, let's do 12 pixels, auto, and 100%. Okay, and right now it's repeating. We don't want that, so let's say background repeat, and let's set it to no repeat. And there we go, we have our arrow. Okay, and it should look the same no matter what platform or which browser you're using. Now the input here, obviously we have to style that as well. So let's say currency input. And for this we're going to actually remove the border. So we'll say border 0 and set the background to transparent. And we're going to make the font size bigger. So let's say 30 pixels. And we want to text align to the right. Okay, so there we go, and you can't see the the border or the background anymore, which is what I want. And then in here, you can't see it right now, but we will have the rate here. It'll say like 1 USD equals whatever euros. So we want to style the swap rate container and the rate, which is the thing we can't actually see yet because that's going to get generated with the JavaScript. So let's say swap rate container, and all I want is for this stuff to align horizontally. So we're going to say display flex and align the items to the center and justify the content, and we're going to use space between. Okay, and then for the rate, which we can't see yet, but I'll just add this anyways. The color, I'm going to use the primary color variable. Okay, and then let's add a font size of 14. And the padding is going to be 0 top and bottom, 10 left and right. All right, now there's a couple things I want to do. I want to remove the outline. So right now, if I click the button or the select list, you see this ugly outline. We want to get rid of that. So that's on the focus state. So we'll say for any select that is in the focus, input, focus, and also button focus, we want to set the outline to 0. Okay, so that way we don't have that anymore. And then I just want to change the width of the of currency to make it a little more responsive. I can't make this any smaller, but if it was, this would just stay at this width. So what I'll do is I'll add a media query. So we'll say @media and say max width. So on 600 or less, so if the screen is 600 pixels or less, then we're going to take the currency input and we're going to set the width to 200 pixels. Okay, so that just kind of pushes it in more. So that way, if the screen is smaller, it'll be less width. You can see it change right here when I get to 600 pixels. All right, so our UI is complete. It's not the fanciest UI in the world, but I think it looks decent. So in the next video, we're going to start on our JavaScript. We're going to add some event listeners. We're going to interact with this exchange rate API so that we can get our rates. We'll get back some JSON data. We can insert that into the DOM and so on. All right, so we'll get into that next.